In this presentation, we're going to add credit card data into our system with the help and use of the bank feeds. In other words, we've imported the information with the use of a CSV file into our system, and now we're going to be adding those from kind of the Sage bank feed limbo into our financial statements. Get ready, because it's time to engage with Sage Business Cloud Accounting. Here we are in our Get Great Guitars Company summary page within Sage. We're going to be opening up our financial statements first by going to the reporting dropdown and opening up that balance sheet. Let's open up that balance sheet first. Once it opens, we're going to duplicate the tab by mousing over the tab up top, right-clicking on it, and duplicating that tab. Let's go back to the tab to the left and do the same thing for the P&L, profit and loss. We're going to be hovering over the reporting and go down to that profit and loss report, the P&L, the income statement. Once it opens up, we're going to go and hover over the tab up top, right-click on it, and duplicate that tab. Then let's check our dates. I'm going to go back into the balance sheet. I'm going to put it as of the end of the year. So I'll just put it as of the end of the year here. And so let's bring this on up to December. And there we have it. Let's calculate that. We're going to go to the P&L then. And I'll set the beginning date. Let's do a custom date range here. I'm going to go down with a custom date range. And I think the data was in there in April or May. So let's go with April 1st. And then we can take it to the end of the year. And so I'm going to take this and it could go up through May. Let's take it up through May. That's fine. And then we'll calculate that. So there we have that. And then I'm going to go back to the first tab. We're going to go into our banking information in the ribbon. So we're in the ribbon in the banking information. Now, of course, our banking information this time being the credit card information. So really when I think of banking, I would think of financial institution that possibly could have bank feed type information section in banking. So I've got 9 transactions here. We're going to go into those 9 transactions. We're going to add them in a similar fashion as we have done so for the bank transactions. So I'll do them a little bit quicker here. Obviously, just like with the bank transactions, we uploaded these items to the system. They're not yet in the book, so they're kind of in the bank feed limbo. And we're going to be adding them. We're going to pull them on over to the financial statements. So here we have, I'm going to do this one last because this is a payment that we had. So this is the payment we had on it. I'll talk about that later. We're going to go down to the 160. This is going to be for the Office Depot. So I'm just going to add that to office supplies. I'm going to put that into office supplies. So same process. I'm going to copy. Well, I'll see if the vendor's here. I'm going to say Office Depot. If it's already there, I shouldn't be adding another vendor. Don't add too many vendors. You don't want duplicates in there. And then it's going to be picking up, it's going to general expense right now. I want to be putting to office supplies. So I want to be putting it to office supplies. So office supplies. And we have other office. Let's put it into office supplies here. That's the one I want. All right. And it's going to be a credit card. It's going to be the method. So we'll keep that as the method. I'm going to create that. And it'll be a similar process. What's that going to do? Let's check out the first one just to check it out. We'll go to the balance sheet. Let's update the old balance sheet here. And it didn't keep my date, so I'm going to bring the date out till the end of the year and try this again. So I'm going to keep that and then recalculate. And let's see what happens. So down in the bottom by the credit cards, we have the 160 for the credit card information now. So we got that amount there in the P&L, profit and loss. We of course will have an update to the office supplies. So office supplies will be affected. Okay, let's go back on over and continue adding these. Now we have the Frank's Grill. Now this one, let's just assume that we ask about this one. Say it's a restaurant. Is that going to be business or personal? Let's say that it's a personal item because often you want to break out the personal and the business credit cards, but sometimes people don't. Sometimes you have some personal stuff on there. So it's not the end of the world, right? We want to separate it as much as possible, but if there's personal stuff, what are we going to do? We're going to charge it to not the income statement, but the draws, just like if we took money out and then spent it on something. So we're going to put that into the draws area. So I'll do the same thing. I'll say it's a vendor here. I'll say Frank's Grill. I'm going to add it, and we're going to say that it was a personal item, however. Therefore, in the drop-down, I'm going to put this to draws. So I'm going to say it went to owner draws. Didn't pick it up. Let's try it again. That's the one. And there we have it. So I'm going to add that, and then it'll increase the equity section, not the income statement. Then Amazon, let's say that this is going to be for office supplies. So Amazon we might already have here. Let's check it out. There's Amazon. And it's going into general. I'm going to put it to office supplies. Office supplies. So there we have that. Gonna add that. Verizon, that's the telephone. So let's go ahead and type in Verizon here. Verizon, V-E-R-I. So I didn't have it yet. I thought I added Verizon already. I thought that would be there, but it's not because I didn't add it apparently last time. I'm gonna create it this time. So we're gonna save that. There's the credit card. This is gonna be a telephone. So I'm gonna say it's the telephone. Verizon is gonna be our telephone. So we'll pick that one up. There we have that. I'm gonna create that one. Then we have Edison's utility. Notice it's not populating because it would be populated here like with a memorization feed if it were in the bank feeds, but because we're in a different section, it's not populating the same information. It's not memorizing, in other words, the last transaction because we have paid Edison before. So we're gonna, because it was in the checking account last time. So we're gonna say that this is gonna be utilities expense, and we'll pick that one up and go ahead and create that. Then we have the Office Depot. So I'm going to say Office Depot. It is picking up Office Depot. So it actually, that's because we already paid an Office Depot already. So again, in this bank feed process, similar thing. If we had a whole year's worth of data, it will start to memorize that information. So notice this one picks it up automatically. That's great. I'm going to go ahead and create that. And then Verizon, it's picking that one up. That's great. I'm going to go ahead and create that. Edison, it's picking that one up. That's great. I'm going to create that. Then we have the payment happening here. So we've got the other side. This is a payment that we made on the account. So first, let's go over and let's just check out what's happened so far. If I go to the balance sheet and we update the balance sheet, I'm going to go back up top and say, let's calculate here. And then we see that down in the credit card information, now we have the 917. That 917 consisting of the transactions that we put in, including the Office Depot, the Frank's Grill, the Amazon, the Verizon, and so on and so forth. And then the other side of that transaction, one of those down here, this is kind of a new thing that we had in the equity section. You'll note that in the draws, we put the meals over here because it was a personal expense that was paid out of the business credit card. So there it is. There's Frank's Grill on that one. So then I'm going to go back over, and then in the P&L, the profit and loss, we scroll back up to the profit and loss and update that. Then we're going to see our expenses in a similar fashion as we would with the banking information. So we added our expenses down here, including the utilities, the telephone, and so on and so forth. Going back over, we have one transaction left. This is our payment on it. Now, this is a little bit of an unusual one because note that I'm going to see the payment going out here on the bank. Actually, it's coming into the bank feed. We're paying off the credit card. And we're also going to see it going out of the checking account at some point when we pay it out of the checking account. Most likely it's going to come out of the checking account. So that means that there's going to be two sides to this transaction that has a bank feed on it. So I could make this go to the other account, the checking account, and then match it out. But it could be a little bit confusing to do that because which one did we do first? That matching process can be a little bit confusing. So if you're dealing with a transaction that's going to be affecting two different accounts that have a bank feed on it, I would set up like a clearing account that will match it out. In other words, this I would set up, I'm going to put it to a clearing account, so it'll go into that clearing account, and then when I see the other side happen on the checking account side of things, it'll also go to the clearing account, and then the clearing account will match out to zero. So once, in other words, this transaction has gone through both sides of the account that's going to be affected by the bank feeds, the clearing account should be back down to zero. So let's just check that out. I'm going to put it into this account. I'm going to make another account to do this. I'm going to right click. I'm going to duplicate this tab. We're going to go to our general ledger, or chart of accounts, I should say. And I'm going to go to the accounting to do that. Then we're going to go to the settings in the ribbon. So we're going to go to the settings over here. And we'll move on down to the chart of accounts. So we're going to be in the chart of accounts. I'm going to set this account up here. I'm going to be close to the accounts table, so I'll say it's 2020. Let's say 2020. So I'm going to make a new account with the number of 2020, and then I'm going to say this is the credit card clearing account, and then I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it here. And then I'm going to put the category, I'm going to just say it's a liability account. So a current liability, just a standard current liability type of account. So it'll be close to kind of like the credit card account. So then I'm going to say save. So we have that. Then I'll go back over to our transactions. And then I'm going to post this to that account. So I'm going to be saying that this is going to go to the account 2020, the credit card clearing account. Let's do that again. Didn't pick it up. So credit card clearing. There we have it. And sales tax is going to be no tax. All right, let's record that and see what happens with it. I'm going to go on back to the balance sheet and I'm going to update the balance sheet. So let's go ahead and calculate the balance sheet. And then in the liabilities area, now we have this 663 and the 250. So the 250 represents a payment that we made. So remember, that payment's going to also come out of the checking account at some point in time, because that's where we're going to pay it out of. And that'll come through the bank feeds. When that happens, we'll reduce the checking account and we'll put the other side to this 250. And then at that point in time, the 250 will have cleared the two accounts that will be affected by it from the bank feeds, and the clearing account will then be back to zero. So the clearing account's a way that we can kind of check that we don't double input something and deal with that fact or those items that are affecting those two accounts that have the bank feeds in both of them. Now, I'm also going to change the date up top because you'll note we entered some credit card transactions after April, and that's going to be typically the case if we would have a bank feed type of transactions. We're going to it's not like there's going to be a standard cutoff at the end of the month. We're just going to enter transactions as they come up in the bank feeds. So let's set this up and bring it back to April. And so I'm going to bring this back down to April 30th. And then I'll recalculate this again. And if I go back down, you'll notice we're at the 250 for the balance. And that doesn't match what's on our bank statement. And the reason is because we have the beginning balance. So just like with the bank feeds, you're going to have a similar thing with a credit card. If it's the first time and the first credit card statement you put in place, you might not have that beginning balance in place. So you're going to have to go back in and add the beginning balance in a similar fashion as we did with the credit card. With the bank feeds. So we'll take a look at that next time.